What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hip Hop Culutre Blog. This is your boy E Money. Today is Friday, the 23rd, and tomorrow we got the UFC 173 with Daniel Cormier versus Dan Henderson. I told you guys I was going to give you another look into that fight specifically. Looks like the winner of this fight will be guaranteed a title shot for the light heavyweight championship versus John Jones Bones. You know what? Been watching the countdown. Been watching the ESP. Basically, a lot of different insights on this fight right here, and it looks like everybody's pretty much confirming my opinion. That is that Daniel Cormier is going to be favored. The odds are in favor of him in Vegas, and that just shows you that people feel that he's capable of beating Dan Henderson. They both are former Olympian wrestlers. But the difference between the wrestling is, and I'm going to go based off what Daniel Cormier said, is his freestyle wrestling will beat his Henderson's I can't even say it. His style of wrestling. I can't say it right now. And that's pretty much basically what I said. Is that Daniel Cormier's his wrestling is a little better than Dan Henderson's. And then Dan Henderson's age is coming into play. His is going to come into play. The only thing that he does have is that right hand that could come out of anywhere, and that is the biggest threat for this fight. And anybody that faces Dan Henderson is that he could change a fight with one punch. And like you saw in his last fight versus Shogun, that's what happened. He was going to beat the first round, the second round, to the third round out of a clinch. Dan Henderson threw this right hook out of nowhere and landed flush on I believe Shogun's either chin or nose, and just totally knocked him out and finished the fight. And Daniel Cormier, he knows this, and his game plan is he's been saying that I have to take away his right hand. And how's he going to do that? He's going to mix it up. He's going to box, maybe kickbox a little bit, and then take him down and beat him up. You know, even Cormier said this. He said that the odds are in favor of Henderson if the fight's standing. And as soon as Daniel Cormier takes the fight to the ground, the odds are immediately favored on Cormier to win. And both fighters know that. So it's just a matter of who's going to be willing to impose their game plan that night. And like I said, I just have a feeling. I've watched MMA for a while. I grew up, participating in combat sports. So my personal intake is I feel that Cormier is going to be able to take this fight. He's going to be able to win it, because he not only is athletically great, but he also has the mental game for this. And I believe he's just a really smart individual. So yeah, I mean, anything can happen in the fight. But like I said, I'm going to be going with Daniel Cormier because I feel that he's just more capable of winning the fight based on his wrestling and his striking. And he's always come up in competition. He's Dan Henderson is going to be another great fighter that he's going to be able to say that he defeated. And after this one, he's going to get John Jones. And I feel that Daniel Cormier is capable of beating John Jones as well. Will he do it? Well, we'll discuss that when the time comes. But I feel that Daniel Cormier has a really good chance of defeating John Jones. Will he? Gosh, that's such a good question. That's going to be such a good fight. to see John Jones's wrestling match up with Daniel Cormier's. Wow, that's gonna be an amazing fight. Honestly, I wouldn't even be able to bet on that next fight. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to beat. I wouldn't be able to bet on that fight. No way. No way. Not right now. But anyways, we have an exciting fight tomorrow with the UFC 173, Daniel Cormier versus Dan Henderson in the light heavyweight division. I'm just trying to think of any last moment things that I wanted to add to this blog. I've been following up with this new video vlog that the UFC is doing with Dana White. It's called Embedded, and this is the first time that I've seen them do this with the UFC fights. And they've done it for Daniel Cormier versus Henderson, and it's very interesting because it's like this last week up to the fight. They have a cameraman following them and following throughout their press conference or their press, where they got to go onto the radio and do interviews. And they actually had Cormier and Henderson up at the Power 106 station at the same time doing a radio interview, and they had a few other more radio interviews like that. That's very interesting. You know, the mental game starts coming into play when you have to consistently see your opponent like that. And looking at their I guess you could say their competitive relationship now that they have to, they have their opponents and they have to fight. They're very respectful of each other, and I think you should be, especially when you're at that level and you know that you have to respect your opponent because he is a dangerous threat. And I just like to see that, they almost looks like they're not gonna have to. They're not fighting. I guess that's kind of how it is with wrestling or maybe like a grappling match, because that it's just a competition. It's a sport, but when it comes down to fighting, I think to me it's just completely different. I would have to take on some type of like Diego Sanchez or Nick Diaz type of mentality because you're going in there to battle. And it's like, man, it's not just physically, it's emotionally and it's a mental game. But just seeing how these guys are handling it like true professionals. Daniel Cormier, he seems like a really good person outside of the cage. And I think they're going to be like almost like a GSP. When they go in that cage, they have the switch. They have the switch to, okay, now it's time to be a killer. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited, and I really like the fact that the UFC did this embedded video blogs following Dana White, where he's in the office and how his day-to-day things are going. And man, it's just like a really nice inside look to how the president of the UFC operates. And I'm a big fan of Dana White. I admire him. I respect him as a business owner, as a businessman, and just someone that's had a great vision for a sport like the UFC, and he's been able to take it to where it is today. So I wanted to do a special video vlog on just Dana White and the Embedded series video vlogs. So that's something that I'm gonna go over either later today or by tomorrow, or maybe this weekend. So I hope you guys enjoy your Friday. Shout out to my big homie Jay Siphon. It's his birthday. We're gonna go out and celebrate at Club Azul. I believe it's in El Monte or somewhere in the East Los area. So shout out to my boy Jay Siph. Happy birthday, man. We're gonna turn up tonight. So everybody that's following the Hip Hop Culutre Blog, make sure that you check out the vlog site. It's the links at the bottom of this video, and I'll see you on the next one, man.